Well, hello there, fans of the English Civil War, and welcome to another tips video here. This time we're going to be focusing on the Royalists. For those of you that have been with us for a while, you know the first time we did this video, we focused on the parliamentarians, and we thought it would only be fair to focus on both armies and give you some tips for when you get the game. Now, these tips come directly from the developers, so I'm sure they're going to be useful and helpful to you. Now, we have a decision here, right here, it's called recruitment, and we've just played that decision in Shrewsbury, which for right now, right on the border of Wales there, is the only decision in terms of recruitment you can make as the Royalists as the game begins. Obviously, that's going to change later on. Next, we want to focus on the commission card. Now, you want to think very carefully about this. We all know that Wales is a very strong royalist area, so perhaps that commission card is not best played in Wales, but really the way you play the game is completely up to you. So we've got this commission card, and this is going to cost us 2 engagement points, which is represented by the pictures of Oliver Cromwell and Charles I here on top. 14 engagement points, and I'm going to play my commissions in several different areas. So I'm going to put one right here in Winchester, and this is trying, or should, order our units to rise up, specifically the train bands, which we're going to learn about later in our interviews with the Sealed Knot, and their importance. And these train bands are going to be very important in actually building Charles I's army. Remember, at this time, England did not have a proper standing army. So to get units, we have to go ahead and play the commission card in various places. Now, keep in mind that this commission, depending on where you play it, could or couldn't work. I don't think we really need any help in Wales, but I'm going to go ahead and drop one here in Hereford anyway, even though Wales is pretty much totally in support of the king. We're going to also drop a commission card right there next to Charles I in Ashby de la Zouche, and see if that assists in getting some troops. Now, these regiments are badly needed to feed the king's foot regiments. So let's go ahead and end the turn and proceed to the next one. Now we've got some interesting options to play. So if we actually go ahead and open up the Strategic Atlas, we're going to go ahead and go to Government Affairs. We could grab weapons, but I wouldn't necessarily suggest doing that right away. Probably want to go to the Chancellery and write a letter to the Queen. And this is going to let our wife, Queen Henrietta, know that she needs to help us as much as she can and hopefully get some help from the Dutch, maybe send us some money and arms for our actual army. So we're going to go ahead and select this. Now, the thing about this particular decision here is that it's going to take probably until the end of the year or the beginning of 1643 for this ever to even come into place, and that's if it works at all. So that's definitely a risk you're taking, but for 2 engagement points, I think it's definitely worth it. And we also want to go ahead and play the Gain Support button in a few regions here. So we're going to grab the Gain Support button, and so far you can see we can only raise it in regions with over 51 loyalty, which right now, if you can take a look at the map, I'll show you guys in a second, most of the areas around us are actually neutral. As you can see, this sort of tan color, it just suggests neutrality. The white color suggests that these people are in support of the king, and this very orange color suggests that people are in support of Parliament. So people are still very much undecided and probably unaware of the struggles going on, especially the common folk. Now, we could go ahead and start raiding Hull, and we are in fact besieging Hull with a small force, so we're going to keep that there. Now let's go ahead and go to turn 3. So at this point, we have several things we could do. We can actually go ahead and start moving the units besieging Hull. And we should see, and indeed we do, a few regiments rising up here. As you can see, Salisbury's foot, Fielding's foot. We've also got the train bands led by the parliamentarians over here. So it's going to make for an interesting situation. Now, obviously, we want to try to take as many cities as possible and put them under our control. So I'm going to take Lindsay's force and actually leave and go here to Selby, try to get some support in Selby if I can. It looks like it's going to be pretty easy to take, but that might not be the case. We're going to have to see. So let's go ahead and end the turn. Okay, so we actually did take Howden, which is now a Royalist area, and now we have to decide what to do on turn 4. This is quite an important turn. You can see that the King's army has 240 men, and the creator of the game expressly suggests that at first, and you can change this later, you start making a strong force under the king. Now, I like to keep Rupert's force, Prince Rupert's force, as a separate force over here and start building him up. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to start moving our regiments back to the Leicester area very quickly. I'm even going to take Ruthven's force and move him back to the Leicester area and essentially try and merge them with the king's armies. Remember, the king needs as many men as he can get. He's got a lot of enemies here that he's going to have to take on, and without a large army, that's probably not going to be so successful. So we'll go ahead and grab some units here as well, move through Wales, and hopefully not find any enemies along the way, but let's end the turn. So as you can see, it's going to take a few turns for all of our units to get here, but once they're here, we want to merge them with the king's force. We also want to make sure that cohesion is good. We'll go ahead and build a depot so that this area will continue giving us supplies, and we want to make sure to try to connect these areas. So we really want this to turn white so that the supply will run through pretty easily into Leicester and from Leicester to other areas, but this obviously takes some time. So that about wraps it up, guys, for our tips video for the Royalist cause. As you can see here, Brooke's army is south in Warwick. If you want, you could take Rupert's force and Charles I's force and see how you do against him. We've also got Northampton's force right here. It's quite a lot of armies to take on Brooke's army, and this could be a good chance for a victory. But you guys are going to have to make the decisions ultimately by yourselves. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Take care. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and have a great day.